TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Olivia Flanagan, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. This week, we're celebrating National Volunteer Week and all the amazing volunteers that make the Durham region a better place. We have a jam-packed episode today, so let's get right into it. We have Gwen from the Uxbridge Hospital Auxiliary. Gwen, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today.
So the hospital kind of has different volunteers that volunteer in different avenues. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about what the different places that volunteers can volunteer at?
Sure. At the Uxbridge Hospital, the minute you walk in the door, you are greeted by a welcoming smile from an auxiliary wayfinder, which is actually quite welcome when you are coming in. You might be a little bit anxious coming in the hospital. And our wayfinders work from 8 in the morning till 11:30, or actually they don't work, they volunteer, and 11:30 until 3. And they will direct you to where you need to be going or answer any questions you have. And if they can't answer them, they will find someone who will. We have volunteers who work in our ambulatory clinic, do roughly the same thing, greeting the patients and directing them either to the waiting room or an examination room. And we also have volunteers who help with our exercise program in the hospital solarium, and they will assist either the rehab staff or help patients get from their rooms to the solarium for the program. And that is done on Mondays and Wednesdays, I believe, from 1:15 to 2:15. The other two volunteer positions are all the time, every day. We also have a wonderful gift shop there, which volunteers man for 2 different shifts through the week. Has wonderful one-of-a-kind clothing, bamboo clothing, jewelry, and wonderful knit items, which are knit by our auxiliary volunteers. So it keeps the price down and also raises even more funds for the Uxbridge Hospital.
Yeah, and you also said that there's a thrift store.
Our flagship fundraiser is it's a thrift store called Chances Are, and we just moved from our location on, it was called Bascom Street. Now we're at the Elgin Park Drive Plaza. Okay. And there are 4 different volunteer positions there. So you can be a receiver at the back, receiving the donations from the community. Yeah. You can be a sorter who sorts the donations. You can be a merchandiser who actually is involved in the beautiful displays that are out front in the store. And then we have 2 sets, so 4 cashiers at a time there throughout the day. So 4 different positions that Chances Are.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's so many volunteers that kind of make the auxiliary what it is, right?
Right. We have 227 volunteers.
Wow.
And then we have events, Olivia.
Yes,
we have
events, of course.
We have Run for the Diamond, which is coming up in June 22nd, and it begins at Elgin Park, and the post-race festivities are at Elgin Park as well. And you actually do Run for a Diamond. The diamond this year is a donation from Chances Are, and it's diamond earrings.
Beautiful.
And it's a 5K and 10K run, and we also have a kids dash. And our volunteers can help on the day at Elgin Park. We have a committee that works from the end of last year till June to get everything organized, but also along the route we have water stations, and so the volunteers will give water to the runners along the way. And it's really only a morning of your time on June 22nd, and it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and do the volunteers also plan the run?
They certainly do. Michelle Baker is on the auxiliary board, and she organizes the actual run for the Diamond. It's a lot of work, and then she has a committee that helps her.
Amazing. Now, why would you say that volunteers are so important to the Uxbridge Hospital Auxiliary?
Oh my gosh, well, the auxiliary is all volunteers,
Yes.
so volunteers are the auxiliary.
Yeah.
And what has happened, the auxiliary, I believe it started in 1954, even before the hospital was built. So it started in order to raise funds to build
Wow.
a cottage hospital, so a small community hospital for the area. And so we would be, the auxiliary would not exist without volunteers,
Yes.
and the hospital would certainly have to find other fundraising events to keep running. I mean, we have a new hospital that's being built right now. They're just doing underground work, and they've done some demolition. And we're going to have 3 buildings and a long-term care building with 192 beds.
Amazing.
So we all have a lot of work to do. And actually, 2024 was our 70th anniversary.
Exciting.
And we pledged $1.5 million to the Uxbridge Hospital Foundation.
Amazing. So now how can viewers looking to kind of get involved with the auxiliary find out more information or register to be a volunteer, and what's that process kind of look like?
Well, on our website, you can go to our website, which is Uxbridge Hospital Auxiliary, and there's contact information there to contact someone, our Director of Volunteers, Bev Latva. What is involved is you need to have a police check to work at the hospital. You would fill out an application, and after you fill out the application, we would give you a letter so that you don't have to pay for your police check. Then you have to have proof of vaccinations. We like a brief resume. You sign a confidentiality agreement and a code of conduct agreement. And if you work at the hospital, you have to have, I believe, family doctor proof of your vaccinations, and you also have what's called a 2-step TB test. So it's a little, you'll get interviewed as well. It's a little bit more work for volunteering, but it's very important because it's the hospital and we have to worry about the patients there as well.
Of course. So this week we're celebrating all the Uxbridge Hospital Auxiliary volunteers, as well as kind of all the volunteers within Durham region. Gwen, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about everything the auxiliary does. And we'll be back after the break.
Hi, my name's Scott Dennis, host of the Sports Report here on Rogers TV Durham. Do you love sports? So do I, and we're talking about it anywhere from the Oshawa Generals to college, university to amateur sport. Make sure you tune in here, only on Rogers TV Durham.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life, and I am joined with Sue from the Port Perry Walk for Dog Guys. Sue, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
And so you have a super fun and very adorable event coming up on May 25th, is that right?
That's right.
Yes, so you're here with Pet Value, and they have an event coming up on the 25th, Walk for Dog Guides. So can you kind of talk a little bit about what the actual event is?
Okay, so the Walk for Dog Guides is actually a national, Canada-wide walk, and it's a major fundraiser for dog guides. The Lions Foundation of Canada oversees it, and they do all the training of the dogs, breeding, training, and then matching the dogs with their human partners. So as a fundraiser, Port Perry Walk for Dog Guides, it's held Sunday, May 25th in Palmer Park, downtown beautiful Port Perry, and we have registration starting at 10, and then some fun and festivities, and the walk starts at 11. So then we'll be walking along the waterfront and the boardwalk, down Old Rail Trail, and then back uptown to Reflection Park. We have a water station there and dog cookies. And then we'll return to Old Flame Brewery, where there'll be a luncheon for registered walkers, a barbecue lunch. We'll have a silent auction with lots of prizes from local sponsors, and goodie bags for the dogs. We have a goodie bag from Pet Value, and a new sponsor this year, Vets Around the Corner, are going to have a second goodie bag for the dogs.
Sounds so cute and such an awesome event.
Yeah.
So we talked about before, this is the 8th annual walk, and you said that you've been kind of starting it from the beginning. So why was it important for you to kind of bring this event to Port Perry in kind of the Durham region?
It is a national walk, and there's over 200 walks across Canada. And Port Perry, we had a small group of people who all had different reasons, some kind of personal reasons, maybe a family member who had a dog guide, or the love of dogs. And we got together and decided, yeah, it's time that Port Perry got involved in the dog walk. And since then, it's just every year has gotten better and better.
Yeah. Now, how much money has this fundraiser over the years kind of raised for dog guides?
So over 8 years, we did have a little break during COVID,
Yeah.
but last year we raised over $30,000,
Wow.
which made Port Perry in the top 10 across
exciting.
Canada, which is amazing
Yes.
for our small town, amazing for our participants, our donors, our sponsors, and our volunteers. And throughout the history of our 8 years, we've raised $168,000.
Wow.
And it does cost about $35,000 to raise a dog. So you figure there's all the breeding, and not every puppy makes it.
Right.
The fostering, the training of the dog, and then also they bring the person from anywhere across Canada to the training school in Oakville, match them with their dog, and then they go through training, various lengths of training, and then that person, that team will continue to have support provided to them, and then they would always remain on a list for a second or succession dog when they need it.
Okay. That's great that you said that, because I was just going to say, like, what actually does the money that's raised go towards? But it sounds like I didn't even know that after you kind of are matched with the dog, that you still get money to, like, what is
Yeah.
that, and what does that go towards?
So it's more, it's support. So paying staff members. The person might live
Okay.
in Northern Ontario
Yeah.
and not have a local community and local support. So a staff member might go to wherever the person is, and you think it could be downtown Toronto, a big city. It could be rural life.
Right.
The person could be working anywhere, and the dog stays with them. So that they actually do some training in the locality where the person is, and just assess everything and continue to support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is an awesome event, and it
Yeah.
sounds so cute. You said 100 dogs were there last
So
year?
yeah, we had about 200 people and
Adorable.
100 dogs last year. So it's really fun and
Yes.
furry when we get back to Old Flame, where we
Yes.
have the barbecue.
Aw.
The barbecue is sponsored by Voss Independent, and Old Flame Brewery has been on board. We want to put a big shout out to our sponsors.
Yes.
That some have been on board since day one,
Awesome.
and then we have some new sponsors this year. Certainly, the Ron and Nancy Compton Foundation has been supportive of us all along. And then lots of local sponsors, Framers Gallery, Port Perry McDonald's, Port Perry Marina, Brock's. Those have been with us from day one. And then we have some returning sponsors, Applewood Winery, Willow Tree, Scugog Tech Center, and I'd like to mention our silent auction items will be displayed at the Scugog Tech Center, and the Scugog Animal Health Center, Freedom Kayak, Mrs. Fields Bakes Dog Cookies, and I have heard that they're quite tasty because some people come back and tell us how good the cookies were.
Now, this week is National Volunteer Week, so you're looking for people to kind of register for the walk and volunteer for the walk. How can viewers who kind of want to get involved in this event find out more info?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page, which is Port Perry Walk for Dog Guides, and the national the national website is walkfordogguides.com, and then if you want to participate, you would just find the Port Perry location. You'll see the location of other walks, but we'll definitely sign up for the Port Perry location.
Yes.
And then we do have an email, Port Perry Walk for Dog Guides at gmail.com if you have any questions. And I always refer someone, our local Pet Value with Scott at Pet Value. He's a great go-to guy, so you can always check in with Scott at Pet Value.
Awesome. Well, Sue, thank you so much for joining me today. May 25th, Walk for Dog Guides in Port Perry.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course. We'll be back after the break.
I'm Jackie Hermans, the host of Uxbridge Scugog Life. We have a variety of topics that not only give you inspiration, but also an opportunity to engage within your community. Watch Uxbridge Scugog Life only on Rogers TV.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life, and for this segment I am joined with Ian from Community Care Durham. Ian, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, as we talked about before, this week is National Volunteer Week, and Community Care Durham is always looking for volunteers and has kind of a wide roster of volunteers. So, to kind of start off, can you talk a little bit about what Community Care Durham is all about?
Yeah, we provide community support services to clients in the community to help them live their best lives and remain independent and able to live at home. And to do this, we require volunteers to help us out with almost every service that we provide.
Yeah.
One of the most notable services would be Meals on Wheels, the delivery of Meals on Wheels, frozen or hot. We have community food boxes as well, but we also use volunteers in a number of other areas, like our foot care clinics, our day programs, our telephone reassurance, and our friendly visiting. Without volunteers, those services couldn't happen. So they're vitally important.
For sure. Now,
Yeah.
what kind of different roles for all these programs do volunteers kind of play?
They're the front end workers.
Right.
Like they are the face. When they drop off that meal or do a friendly visit, those are the faces that our clients see. So they are very connected to the community. And like I said before, if we didn't have them helping us out with this work, we don't have enough employees to be able to do all these services. For example, we delivered over 100,000 meals last year.
Wow.
And without volunteers, a lot of those meals wouldn't have been delivered at least on time.
Yeah.
So
That's why I think Volunteer Week is kind of so important to recognize, because
It is.
with so many not-for-profits, like, volunteers are the ones like carrying out those daily
Yeah.
tasks, right?
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Why would you say volunteers kind of make a difference in the community or like with your programming?
Oh, the differences they make, they provide ripples of change. That's the theme for our internal Volunteer Appreciation Week. And yeah, the interactions that they have with our clients, it changes their lives on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like, we have volunteers who provide drives. If you don't have a drive to your doctor's appointment, that's a huge deal for a client. And I mentioned the meals. If you don't have your meal, then you go hungry. So yeah, they do. They're ripples of change, and they connect with our clients, and that's so vitally important.
I think that theme is
Yeah.
awesome, and I would love for you to talk a bit more about kind of that theme. But I think with volunteering, it makes a difference for the clients, but also like makes a difference in the volunteer's life, right?
It does.
It actually helps both parties almost, not just like the clients.
It does. Yeah, we have. We've been engaging more socially with our volunteers over the past year, having pizza and trivia nights and bowling nights, because they're part of our family.
For
So
sure.
we want to connect with them,
Yeah.
make them feel more involved, and just keep the lines of communication open with them, so that they don't just come in, registered to be a volunteer, and then they never hear from you until
Yeah.
you need them. They're a vital part of what we do,
Yeah.
and we like to keep the lines of communication open.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
Now,
it's-
can you talk a bit more about the kind of ripples for change
Oh,
mission?
It was an idea brought up by our two volunteer leads, Marcy Marchuk and Megan Goddard. And each year the week has a theme, and they came up with their own theme.
Okay.
And the ripples of change was just the change that we were able to make in the community by interacting with our clients, and they not only with our clients but with our organization as well, because without them we wouldn't be able to do what we do to help our clients remain independent and safe in their own homes. So
For sure. Now, how many
yeah.
volunteers would you say that Community Care Durham has?
We have roughly between 350 and 375.
Wow.
And that's a decent number, but it has dropped. COVID hurt most
For sure.
not-for-profits, so we're always looking for more. And to volunteer, they just have to visit our website at communitycaredurham.on.ca, and the volunteer button is in the top right corner, so you can't miss it. It's green.
Yeah. Look out for the green button.
Yeah,
Now, next week is kind of Volunteer Appreciation Week. What would you say the Community Care Durham is kind of doing to celebrate your volunteers?
We've got a little treat that we're sneaking into their packages. It's some lifesavers. And the little note in there is like, "You are lifesavers. Thank you." And so that's a little treat for them. And we're also starting our volunteer appreciation events.
Yes.
Our first one is on Friday, May the 2nd, at the Sunderland Legion. And that's where we have a sit-down lunch, I should say. And then we hand out service awards afterwards, and we have volunteers who have volunteered for up 5, 10, 15, and sometimes more than 25 years.
Wow.
So when they are involved, they're usually involved for a long time,
Yes.
and we really appreciate that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So any viewers that are watching and are interested in volunteering should check out your website.
Yep.
And look for the green button.
Look for the green button.
Look for the green button.
We're always looking for good volunteers,
Yes.
and yeah, they are lifesavers for us.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any events specifically coming up in the future that you're looking for volunteers for specifically?
Our next big event would be our Kilometers for CCD. It's our fundraising walk in September, and we rely heavily on volunteers to help us. The walk takes place in Whitby at Cullen Central Park, and but we need volunteers to help along the trail, to set up for the food and the beverages, and and to register as well. So that's our next biggest event. But apart from that, the day-to-day stuff that they do just helps out so much. And like I said, we need volunteers to drive, to deliver meals, volunteers for telephone reassurance or friendly visiting.
Yeah.
If they're comfortable doing that type of work,
come on out.
give us a call.
Awesome. Well, Ian, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about National Volunteer Week. And we'll be back after the break.
Hey there, it's Taylor Bursey, back for another season of Modern Business right here on Rogers TV. I'll be talking to entrepreneurs and market makers under the age of 40 doing amazing things. Make sure to check it out right here on Rogers TV.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life, and for this segment I am joined with Lindsay, who is the chair of the Hike for Hospice Committee and on the board. So Lindsay, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So you kind of are involved with the hospice and you have a big event coming up in June. So really quick, do you want to talk a little bit about what the hospice does?
Sure. The hospice is a really tranquil home-like setting where people with a life-limiting illness come and live out the end of their lives, but with dignity and great support from our staff and medical staff and volunteers. And the family is unburdened from caring for them. They're just family. It's lovely.
Awesome. And so you have a super exciting fundraiser event coming up in June called Hike for Hospice. Can you talk a little bit about what the event's all about?
Sure. It's our 8th hospice, our 8th hike.
Yep.
And it's very exciting. So we have a goal of $150,000.
Amazing.
And over 400 hikers will come. We gather at Port Perry at Palmer Park. We walk the streets of Port Perry around behind the hospice, which is a lovely part of the hike.
Yes.
And then back to the park for burgers and some music and just some activities.
Yeah. So how many people have you had register so far for the hike?
So far, and it's early days, but we have 200 already.
So exciting.
Yeah. So we're
Yes.
hoping for over 450. So let's keep going.
Awesome. Now, how can viewers sign up to register for this event?
So they can go to either oakridgeshospice.com or hike4hospice with the number 4.
Yep.
hike4hospice.com, and there's early bird registration open until the 28th of April, which is $25. After that, it's $35. For those registering in time for us to order the t-shirts, they get a t-shirt, they get a barbecue, and the activities that are there. For instance, there's activities where family members can sort of commemorate their loved ones. They can write on a "I'm walking for" sticker.
Amazing.
There's a purple ribbon, and there's a big banner, which is always a hit that people can
Yes.
write on that, and we'll display it prior year's banners because it's our 8th year.
So exciting. Now, how much money has this kind of event raised over the 8 years for the hospice?
Yeah, good question. We've raised over $500,000.
Wow.
So and the hospice needs to raise about $1 million a year to make up for the 50% that the ministry doesn't pay for. So this is a good portion of that, which we're very proud of.
Yes, and you have the goal of $150,000 for this year, right?
Yes.
So that money's kind of raised through the participants of the event, and then also, do you just ask for like attendee donations? Do you ask for donations beforehand? How can people donate?
Right, all of the above. That's great. So people can register. They can put a team together and ask their friends and family to either participate or just donate to their team.
Yeah.
We have corporate sponsors. JJ Maguire is our largest sponsor for the next 3 years, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So about a third of our money comes from corporate sponsorships. We still have some corporate sponsorship packages available from $500 to $10,000. So if there's corporations out there that are interested, we'd be happy to hear from them.
For sure. Now, remind me, when is this event happening?
June 1st.
June 1st.
Sunday, June 1st.
Yeah.
Registration opens at 9, and you're out of there by 12:30.
Awesome.
Having a full tummy with a barbecue and your Fitbit or Apple Watch full of your steps.
Yeah, there you go. And so, do you have any other activities happening at the event? Just the hike and the barbecue?
There's a doggy selfie station.
Adorable.
Everyone needs to go to.
Yes.
There is a kids' art section where they can participate. And there's an Oakridge's hospice tent where there'll be more information about the hospice for those who want to learn more.
For sure. So the whole family's invited, even your furry friends, to come on out to the Oak Ridge Hike for Hospice event happening Sunday, June 1st.
Yeah, Sunday,
Awesome.
June 1st. Yeah.
And if people are looking to register or donate, head to the Oak Ridge's Hospice website.
Yes, oakridgeshospice.com or hike4hospice.com, and everything should be there.
Awesome. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining me
Thanks,
today.
Olivia.
And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Olivia Flanagan. Thank you to all the amazing volunteers that we've talked about today that make so many events and not-for-profits in the Durham region important. We'll see you next week.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.